Welcome back, YouTube. Today is the day, December 31st, 2021. The condo is officially done. And tomorrow, January 1st, 2022, we have the first tenant to move in. So, talk about bringing in the new year with that sweet, sweet landlord money, baby. Can't wait to buy more. But yeah, I think the condo came out really great. The only two downfalls, I would say, is that I had to travel extensively for work, and my girlfriend's not into real estate like I am. So it took about 5 months to essentially paint it, mostly, when it should have took a few weeks maybe. So that was unfortunate lesson learned, but I mean, the market's only gone up since then, so maybe it's a good thing. Got really high rent. And I'd say the other main lesson that I learned during all this is that we had some carpet in there that was stained so bad and I just couldn't handle it. So literally yesterday, I decided to tear it out and put laminate flooring in. And well, when you have no tools, that can be quite the nightmare. Let me just put it that way. I had to go borrow my parents' saw for that last little doorway bit. But other than that, I think everything came out really, really well. The main stuff we did, of course, was painted all the walls white, even the doors, the framing, the baseboard, all that, all white. The ceilings white. Basically painted everything white. Looks really, really well. Got all new fixtures, of course, make it look a little more updated. Got the new doorway light, of course, too. And the fancy dining room. And then in the kitchen, we tore out all that just hideous wallpaper and, you guessed it, painted it white. Also painted the cabinets too. I thought that was gonna be a hassle, but actually went quite easily. Got a brand new microwave. And I would have loved to have updated the counters and the stove, but I mean, make it look dated, but they're pretty much in pristine condition and work, so I couldn't really financially go for it, if that makes sense. Well, yeah. And then we tore off all the wallpaper in this room, down the hallway. We put a little bit back right here because there's like layers of wallpaper and it was pulling up the wall. So rather than deal with that and then painting it, we just, right there. It's the only wallpaper left in this whole condo. Bathroom painted, of course. Everything looks great. Room painted and carpets cleaned, of course. And that pretty much sums everything up that we did. I think it came out really, really well. And I'm excited to start the new year with a 10 and get some more. Now I can head on over back to my place and I'll go through all the numbers of what we bought it for, what we're renting it for, etc., to see how good of an investment it is, and hopefully you guys can learn from it just like I'm learning along the way. See you there. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to watch the third and final video of the series. This was definitely a much longer journey than I expected, with the rehab taking almost 6 freaking months when it really should have taken about 1 month. Check out the second video, I'll post it in the top right corner where I'll explain why it took so long and the breakdown of all the rehab costs associated with the condo as well. But you live and you learn. It's my first rental property, so of course mistakes are going to be made and lessons are going to be learned from it all. So at the end of the day, I'll come out as a better investor for my next property, so I'm sure it was worth it. As you can see, I've got the Excel sheet opened up already, and I've plugged in all the numbers, so we're just going to go through this sheet with you guys and crunch all the numbers and see just how good of an investment this condo really is. It's time to see if all my hard work has paid off. But before we get into it, I just want to say I did not make this Excel sheet. I actually got it from a friend of mine who has almost 30 rental units himself, and he made it. This is what he used to evaluate his deals. So it goes into a lot more detail than what I plan on just covering in this video. A bunch of extra things like what it would take to walk away from the deal, requirements to refinance the loan, geographical information like per capita income, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm just going to ignore all that and stick to what you guys are here for, which is ROI related values. So if you see me blow through or just ignore something, that's why I did it. All right, here in section 1 of the Excel sheet, step 1 really gives the most basic overview of the numbers. The purchase price of the condo was $128,000, and a very conservative fair market value, or FMV, for this condo is $175,000. I know this because of comps in the area, but more specifically for this one, a condo in my exact community with the same layout and everything sold for $175,000 months ago. And the rent we're receiving from this unit is about $1,500 per month. Now, if we skip around over to step 4, we're going to start getting in the nitty-gritty of what everything costs. Sorry, I know 2 comes after 1, but in order for it all to make sense, I have to jump around, so just bear with me. The way my friend has this laid out is a little confusing. So like you saw in step one, the purchase price was $128,500. The closing costs were unfortunately $6,434. That's definitely much higher than what you would typically expect to see. The closing costs can range from 1 to 5% of the total loan, and in Georgia, according to Google at least, it's typically 1% of the loan, which would mean my closing costs should have been around $1,285. And in this Excel sheet, my real estate investor friend usually assumes 3% for the sake of his calculations, which would have made my closing cost $3,855. Still less than I paid. However, at $6,434, that makes my closing cost about 5% of my loan value, which is the very top of the range. It's definitely very high, and I feel ripped off, not gonna lie. I even brought this up to my loan officer I was getting the loan through, and their explanation was that it takes the same amount of work for them to do this small $128,000 loan versus a $1 million house loan, so they don't typically even bother with deals this small, which to me, I find that a little weird. Business is business, but okay. And even if you were to assume 3% average cost of the loan, that would equate to me having a $200,000 loan. And if you were to assume it was 1% of the loan, which is the average for my area, that'd be the same as me getting a $640,000 loan for a house. So yeah, definitely feeling a little ripped off. But I don't know what to tell you. It didn't make sense to me then, and it definitely doesn't make sense to me now, but that's what they told me. And of course, I shopped around for multiple loans as well. I looked at credit unions, Wells Fargo, a bunch of other smaller companies. And at the end of the day, these guys, even with that ridiculous explanation, they had the lowest cost. So that's what I went with. I'm going to pop up some of the loan closing documents just for you guys to see real quick. I figured if there's any of you like me who are as green as it gets when it comes to real estate, and I don't even know my own house yet. I had never seen these. I didn't know what they look like. I don't know what any of these breakdowns mean at the time. But so I figured it might be helpful to throw it in there so maybe you guys could pause it and look at it if you were curious because you're about to get your own house or rental or something. But at the end of the day, I mean, your agents, your loan officers, everyone's there to help you. So don't be afraid to ask questions, even if you know nothing. If I managed to figure it out, so can you guys. So here you can see the loan amount, interest rate, principal and interest, escrow, which has your taxes, insurance, and the most important numbers for our ROI calculations being the closing costs and estimated cash to close right here. But as you can see, I have a 30-year fixed rate conventional loan. Interest rate is 3.126%, which when inflation's 7% and counting, that's pretty much free money, baby. But the whole point of this video is for me to plug in all of my numbers and get the ROI on this investment. So if you guys want, I can do a video with a detailed breakdown of all these sections and fees and all this other bogus stuff and explain how they get their numbers, what you can negotiate, what you can't. But that's not the point of this video, so here it is. Pause it if you want to see it, and I'm going to go back to what you guys are here for. All right, next up right here, we have the repairs, which if you watch episode 2, you would know is $3,196.20. But I also had an additional $1,500 commission to get my realtor as part of our deal for him wholesaling me the property, and it wasn't like in the closing documents. It was just kind of a under the table kind of thing. Gotta do what you gotta do to get the deal, right? But I wanted to make sure I accounted for every penny I sent, so I plugged the $1,500 with the repairs to get this total value of $4,696.29. I did not want to leave anything unaccounted for. My down payment was 20% of the purchase price, which was $25,700. The PITI, or principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, comes out to $608, $440 which was principal and interest, $168 of which was escrow, which has the taxes and insurance. So I'm going to quickly pop over to step 5. Here we calculate the carrying cost of the condo, meaning the cost of having the condo sit off the market and not rented during renovations. Because every month it's not rented, that's costing me money, not making me money. So I'm including this to get a more accurate ROI figure. So this condo was off the market for about 6 months. So 6 months times the $330 in HOA plus 6 months times the PITI of $608 gives a total of $5,631. Whew, big mistake. Don't let your stuff sit, guys. Let alone any cash flow I missed out too because of it also being off the market. Now back over to step 4 again. If you add up the carry cost from step 5, the closing cost, the down payment, and the repairs, it gives a grand total of $42,461. That is how much of my cash it took to make this deal happen. So the buyout is all the cash I have invested plus the mortgage, giving $145,261, which is everything I owe and have invested on this deal. And essentially that's the buyout number if I was to be bought out. So over here, which I guess we could call step 2.5 since it's between 2 and 3, you can see that if you subtract the break-even number from the fair market value of 175,000, that leaves me with a total net equity profit of $29,739.13. Man, oh man, I like the sound of that. That's all I gotta say. Now, if we go into up to step 2, you can see that it shows the appreciation of the condo and the equity we have over the next 5 years, and then it takes an average of this number. This is done because at the end of the video, you'll see not only the first year ROI, but the average 5-year ROI as well, which gives us a much more long-term view by accounting for appreciation. That will be the final number I use when determining the condo's overall ROI, by the way. The appreciation values of 2 to 3.5% I left as is. This is what my real estate friend uses when he evaluates his deal. He has 20 plus years of experience and 30 plus units, so I'm gonna trust his numbers. I would love to use the crazy 20% appreciation that we're seeing currently in this pandemic market, but obviously that's not normal nor sustainable. So by the end of year 5, you can see here that the condo is projected to be worth $196,950, which would make my total equity in the deal at year 5 of $51,689. And you divide that by 5 to get the yearly average of $10,338 per year of equity and appreciation. Sounds like more money to my ears, baby. And scrolling down to step 3, it's the same thing as step 2, except for rent appreciation. Again, he assumes 3% appreciation, so I'm going to as well, despite, again, the record-setting rent appreciation in the market currently, because I'd rather be conservative and underestimate than be hopeful and greedy and overestimate, just my opinion. The current rent is $1,550 per month. Multiply that by 12 months, you get $18,600 per year in year 1. By the end of the 5-year, the figure shoots up to a nice $20,934. Divided by 5 to get the average of $1,150 a year of rental appreciation we will get. Now that we've calculated all these costs and appreciation values, we can work our way over to step 6 and determine the cash flow, or some would say the only thing that matters. Here I have my monthly expenses. I have the pity. I set aside 10% of the monthly rent, or $155, to account for future vacancies. A big mistake a lot of people make is not setting aside money for when the unit will be vacant. It's nice to think that'll never happen to me, I'll never be vacant, but at some point it's inevitable, it's gonna happen. So yes, subtracting 10% is definitely gonna lower the ROI numbers, but I'd rather be prepared for when it goes vacant rather than having to pay out of pocket, so to speak, if I hadn't had set aside that money. It can also act as a minor repair slush fund too. So when a tenant moves out, you're gonna have dings and little dents and things you gotta paint and fix. So that money can go to paying for that as well. And again, not out of my pocket. I don't have any legal fees. The tenant is paying for all utilities, and the HOA covers trash, landscaping, and any exterior repairs. There is no management fee as I only have this one property, so I don't see the point of having a property manager. It'll also give me a chance to get some on-the-job experience of actively managing a rental. However, there is an HOA, so I added that fee instead in that section of $330. This brings the total monthly expense to $1,093. Subtracted from the monthly rent of $1,550, that leaves $457 in pure sexy cash flow. I think that's a great number, especially for such a cheap unit. And to put that into perspective, I put $500 every month into my Roth IRA account to max out the $6,000 per year contribution. And that essentially almost covers that expense entirely. So that's one less bill I have to pay, which is one step closer to financial freedom. And I'm investing it into a Roth, which is invested in the market, which is going to make me even more money. So it's like a double whammy. And now finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. The 1-year ROI is coming right after a word from our sponsors. Okay, I'm just kidding. Who do I look like? Graham Stephan? I wish. I'm not even monetized yet, so you guys should definitely go down and smash the like button and subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm. The total ROI for the first year is, boom, 84.94%. Holy moly, that's bonkers. This accounts for all the equity I made buying it off market and under market, as well as the yearly cash flow it produces. The first year cash on cash return is 12.9%. That is strictly the cash flow I will make over the total cash I had invested in the deal. It does not account for any equity. And lastly, you can see the 5-year cash on cash return is 15.61%. So that was a nice little bump. And the 5-year total ROI drops to 39.96%, which these all count for the average depreciation values we went over earlier to get a more long-term accurate view. As I mentioned earlier in the breakdown, I like to use a lot of conservative values. I personally would rather undershoot the returns to be ready for a worst case scenario rather than expect some crazy numbers and then not get those numbers, which ends up making the deal not worth it. My logic is if the numbers work well in a conservative scenario, then anything above that is just icing on the cake. Like when I said earlier, I assume the fair market value of $175,000 for the condo over in step one, because a condo in my community with these same floor plan sold for $175,000. I mean, how much better of a comparable could you have? It did not even have as nice as an upgraded bathroom as my condo does. And the $175,000 sale happened 6, 7, maybe even 8 months ago. So I'm sure by now, the way the market's going, it's probably worth even more. But I'm just going to assume $175,000 because I know that value for a fact is what this condo at least could sell for. So that's what I mean when I say I'd rather be conservative and undershoot the values versus assume, oh, it's been 8 months, maybe I could sell it for $300,000. And then you're just getting too hopeful with that and you're just going to get disappointed. Same thing goes with the 2 to 3% housing rent appreciation numbers I made in steps 2 and 3 for the 5-year average returns, when the housing market actually appreciated 16.6% in Atlanta last year and rents have gone up 14% in Atlanta the last year. Obviously, I would love my rents to increase 14% every year, but those are absolutely insane. So I'd rather stick with the typical pre-pandemic appreciation versus the insanity that's going on right now to have a more accurate long-term view on the investment. So if you compare my condo's 15.61% return to the typical return of 7-ish% you would have got from the S&P 500, not counting the crazy pandemic returns, yeah, sorry, I had to clear my throat, then my 15.61% cash on cash return is even better than investing it in the S&P 500. It's pretty mind-blowing to me. And not only that, the property pays for itself and it appreciates over time, and I get cash flow every month forever. No wonder 95% or whatever it is of millionaires own real estate. And just for fun, as an added bonus for all those who made it this far in the video, I'll change the cost of carrying the condo from 6 months to what it more realistically should have been of 1 month, so we can see how much damage that 5 months of extra time passing actually did, so you know not to make the same mistake I did. So the 1-year cash on cash return went from 12.9% to 14.51%. The total year one ROI went from 82.94% to 105.67%. Ooh. The 5-year cash on cash return went from 15.61% to 17.55%. And the 5-year total ROI went from 13.96% to 47.41%. I mean, that's an easy difference of 2% return on the 5-year cash on cash return ROI. Yeah, it definitely stings a little bit seeing that, but I definitely will not make the same mistakes next time. And hopefully you guys won't make the mistake at all because you learned from my dumbass. There you have it, guys, the completion of my first rental units and my first YouTube series. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below and what you guys would like to see next. Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe. See you in the next video.